Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Media Boat Podcast. As you can see, it's just me today. Mike is on assignment somewhere. No, it's a family thing. A family thing came up. But yeah, it's just me this week. I'm Matt. This is the Media Boat Podcast. Today is April the 24th, 2025. This is episode 484. If you don't know what we do here, we talk about the week in news and reviews with movies, music, video games, and television, not necessarily in that order. Like I said, my name is Matt, and I'll take you through the world this week of news. Not a whole lot of big news this week, but some stuff to talk about, so let's get right into it. We start with the music section, and we always start the music section with the weekend. With the Billboard Hot 100, your singles chart. This week, Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA is still your number one song. Followed by number 2, Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, moving back up to that number 2 spot. Number 3, Nokia by Drake. Number 4, Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan. And debuting in the top 5 this week at number 5, Ordinary by Alex Warren. Moving on to our Billboard 200 chart, your albums chart this week. Your number 1 album in the country right now is More Chaos by Ken Carson. Number 2, GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Number 3, SOS by SZA. Number 4, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. And rounding out your top 5, some sexy songs for you, maybe not for you, but for somebody, by Party Next Door and Drake. If you didn't like any of those releases, we have new releases this week, a bunch of them this week. First up, Dream Into It by Billy Idol. Yes, that Billy Idol. Noble and Godlike in Ruin by Deerhoof. Journey Through Life by Femi Kuti. Skeleta by Ghost. I Don't Know How, But They Found Me by Jensen McRae. Unatoned by Machine Head. Crying the Neck by Patrick Wolf. Bloodless by Samia. What the World Needs Now by Smokey Robinson. Yes, that's Smokey Robinson. Mortal Prime Time by Sunflower Bean. Face Down in the Garden by Tennis. Viagra Boys by Viagra Boys. And Oh What a Beautiful World by Willie Nelson. Yes, Willie Nelson. All right, something for everybody this week. Let's move on to the music news. Kind of a slow music week this week, but we talked a little about Lorde dropping a hint on TikTok last week about a new single. Well, that single has come into fruition, but before she put it out officially, she put together a surprise pop-up event in New York's Washington Square Park. But not everything went as planned. Lorde debuted her forthcoming single, What Was That?, at that pop-up event, about 2 hours after police had shut down the gathering due to overcrowding. Lorde had announced the event in a message to fans late in the afternoon, but the park soon became overcrowded and with fans. At around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the singer stood on a wooden platform placed over the park's iconic fountain and sang along with the song, which played from small speakers. Earlier in the day, media were tipped off that a performance would be happening, and Lorde made an announcement via a group text with her fans. Quote, "Meet me in the park tonight, 7 p.m. XX." Fans flocked to the park, and at least a couple thousand had gathered around the fountain, with some even climbing trees for a better view, until they were shouted down by local park rangers. But at 7 p.m., Lorde posted on her Instagram story, quote, "OMG, the at the park cops are shutting us down. I am truly amazed by how many of you showed up." It read in part, quote, "But they're telling me you gotta disperse. I'm so sorry." While many fans left, many lingered, and eventually Blood Orange frontman Dev Hynes, who is reported to have collaborated on Lorde's new album, arrived with a portable speaker blasting the song. The singer herself arrived at 9 p.m., thanking the remaining fans and then playing the song. So like I mentioned, the song is now officially released on music platforms, and it's fine. it seems like a compromise between the kind of thing that she was doing on Melodrama and this new generation of very wordy pop songs. Think Taylor Swift Midnights, or especially that new Gracie Abrams album. Not exactly my vibe. I think I want my I want my Lorde to be a little bit more melodic. So I wasn't super thrilled about it. Did not make a great first impression on me. However, I would bet that it sounds pretty good in context of a record. So I'm really looking forward to the full album when Lorde is ready to release it. All right, let's move on to a video game section this week. What a week for video games. We'll get into it. But first, let's talk about new releases. A ton of new releases. I don't know why the floodgates were open this week, but they were. Let's start with Days Gone Remastered on the PS5. It is what it says it is. It's a remastered version of Days Gone, the PS4 game. La Quimera on PC. Two Strikes on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Amerizone, The Explorer's Legacy, 2025 remake. That's on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. That's on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X. That is your new SNK fighting game with all the Saudi prince's best friends in it. The 100 Line, Last Defense Academy. That's on PC and Switch. Nano Apostle. That's a good name. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One. Super Technos World. River City and Arcade Classics. PC, PS5, and Switch for that one. As the name implies, that is a collection of Technos games, including some of the River City Ransom games. That could be good if you like side-scrolling brawlers. Tempest Rising on PC. Yasha, Legends of the Demon Blade. PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, and Switch. Forza Horizon 5 comes to PS5 this week for all the people who have been trapped in PlayStation land that want to check out how the other half lives. Kai Borg on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox Series One. Xbox One, my bad. Moroi on PC. MotoGP 25 on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch. Skin Deep on PC. And last, but definitely not least, the big release for the week, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That's on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. So, I've heard a lot of good things about this game. I have not dove into it myself yet because I am on the aforementioned boycott of Game Pass, and this is a Game Pass debut, so it is available on that service. If you want to give Microsoft money right now, hey, I'm going to suggest you don't, but hey, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just a podcast. But yeah, I've heard good things about that one. That's not a Microsoft Game Studios published title, so feel free to play it on PS5 or PC. By all means, get that on Steam. It sounds wonderful, deep story RPG from French developer that looks like they're really mastering the form already. Just wonderful, wonderful looking game. Check it out. All right, let's move on to some video game news. If you weren't awaiting the release of Claire Obscure, you were probably thinking about Switch 2 pre-orders. So I'm going to do the story here, even though this is written, just keep in mind this is written less than a week ago. This happened literally a day after we recorded last week. But yeah, all of this went down last night or this morning, depending on where you live and where you went. After much delay, Nintendo confirmed that Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders will officially go live on the 24th of April, aka today, in the US. While the console will remain the same price as previously announced, the tariffs did affect accessories. Some accessories will be set for a price increase. Nintendo said, quote, Nintendo Switch 2 accessories will experience price adjustments from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future, depending on market conditions. End quote. The standard console pack will cost $449, while the Mario Kart World bundle will retail for $499. These are the same prices as were first announced earlier this month. So those accessories in question. This includes the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, which was originally announced at $79.99 and will now retail for $84.99. Also, the Joy-Cons went up to about $95 each. Well, not each, a set. The camera went up. So basically, all of the extra accessories that you would buy with a Switch went up. But the games, and crucially, the system did not change in light of the tariffs. So yeah, those pre-orders went up last night. If you're here on the West Coast, they went up at 9 p.m. I, threw my hat in the ring at Walmart and did not luck out. Seemed like some people managed to get them, but some people experienced the same, honestly, bullshit that they experienced back in the PS5 and the Xbox Series X launches back in 2020. It's brutal out there. It seemed like even though retailers, especially Best Buy, were out there mitigating some scalpers by putting lines in place, it seemed like even when you got there, sometimes the lane would break, sometimes the orders wouldn't go through, etc. It seemed like a real issue if you were trying to get one of those things. So yeah, my heart goes out to all the people who tried their hardest to get a Nintendo Switch 2 last night and this morning. The GameStop line seemed manageable if you went there in person, and they only had like 80 depending on the size of the store. So yeah, again, real rough times. The question this time is, now typically I would be the person saying, you don't have to have one on launch day. Take your time. There'll be more time to get a Switch 2. The only weird wrinkle with the Switch 2 is that this comment that Nintendo is making about the price may be changing in the future. That uncertainty is probably making a lot of people antsy and getting them to pre-order now instead of waiting a year where maybe the tariff situation gets worse and Switch 2 price goes up. Nintendo has the ability to raise this price at any time they want. This is the first time this has happened at a launch, and this discomfort is not great for the end user, for the consumer. It's great for Nintendo, who's going to make amazing money on this thing, no matter how much they sell it for. But yeah, it's a bad time for a video game console to release. It's a weird context in which to exist. Well, I was going to say in which for it to exist, but also to exist in general is pretty accurate. So yeah, I don't know. But if you are listening to this and you lucked out and got one, kudos to you. Way to go. Congratulations. But here at the Media Boat Podcast, we're going to have to wait a little bit to obtain our Switch 2. All right. Let's move on. No thoughts this week. Mike says he's going to have final thoughts about Lost Records, Bloom and Rage Tape 2 next week when he returns. So look forward to that. In the meantime, let's move on to television. And as always, we start our television section with the Sports Corner. I'm not Mike. Sports Corner is going to be really light this week. I will say that today is the day for all your Kevin Costners out there. Draft day for the NFL is happening. I'm not sure what time that starts, but I would imagine it has not started yet. It is 4:34 p.m. Pacific when I'm recording this. Or it could be going right now. I have no idea how the NFL draft works. But yeah, check that out if you're interested. In the meantime, the NBA and NHL playoffs continue. I don't have those results for you, but I did hear that Mike's own Los Angeles Kings did win at least one playoff game. So hey, congratulations, Kings, for at least doing that. Otherwise, baseball still baseballing, and yeah, that's really it for sports. This is going to be a quick one, folks. Let's move on to television news. Television news this week comes from a galaxy far, far away. Well, not really. It came from Star Wars Celebration 2025, as we have a slew of Star Wars announcements that were made, and yes, some of them affect television. It was a big show with some exciting announcements, including Ahsoka Season 2 teaser footage, Volume 3 of Star Wars Visions, which will be announced on October 29th, 2025, or released, probably not announced. That was my bad. And that the series is getting a new spin-off that will debut with the next chapter of The Ninth Jedi, a story that began back in Volume 1. Meanwhile, that Mandalorian and Grogu movie is still headed to theaters. This is not television news, but might as well mention it now. On May 22nd, 2026. Also, we had the reveal of the Sean Levy-directed Star Wars Starfighter film that will star Ryan Gosling and will come to theaters on May 28th. And this is when I get to show that Mike was wrong. This is a Star Wars movie, and not a movie about Star Wars like he assumed last week when we talked about Mikey Madison's potential casting and denial. But yeah, Star Wars Starfighter, there you go. I wonder if it's related to the PS2 game. Probably not. Next up, the announcement of Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, an animated series about the titular Darth Maul. That's headed to Disney Plus in 2026. And we also have continuation of planned movies we knew about already. The movies from Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, James Mangold, and Taika Waititi all continue to exist, according to Disney. And also a trilogy from Simon Kinberg. So yeah, all of this stuff is still in the works. It will slowly roll out, knowing Disney, who knows how long it will survive before it gets canned. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on. Out of television news. No thoughts this week. Just caught up a little bit on the studio, which is getting better and better on every episode, I swear. Like, that is one to watch, folks. If you're not watching the studio on Apple TV+, do yourself a favor, check it out. That dog outside is raving about it. Let's move on to cancellations and renewals then, shall we? First up, Clean Slate gets a clean slate as it is canceled after one season on Prime Video. The Summit also has reached its summit at one season as it was canceled by CBS. Papa's House also canceled after one season on CBS. Netflix has announced that instead of a third season continuing Heartstopper, after a fourth season continuing Heartstopper, it will instead end with a film finale, so expect a feature-length presentation that will wrap up the events of Heartstopper on Netflix. ABC also did a series of renewals this week. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in its current incarnation will continue for a fourth season. Dancing with the Stars will get a 34th season at ABC. The Golden Bachelor will get a second season, and Sweet Magnolias will get a fifth season on Netflix. All right, let's move on to the last section of the show. 17 minutes, we're cruising. Movies. And we start the movies section this week with, you guessed it, another win from me. Yes, your number one movie, against all odds, beating a Minecraft movie, Sinners, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's vampire flick, is your number one movie this week, making $48 million in its debut. I believe I read something that it is a new record of not a new record, but like the highest grossing original film's debut at number one since, I believe, Jordan Peele's Nope. So impressive work. Congratulations to Sinners and Ryan Coogler in that deal that the studios are upset about, but Ryan Coogler really looks out with that 20-year deal. So that means that I get a point. I'm going to add myself a point here. So I go 8 and 7, and Mike loses this one and goes 6 and 9. So I'm over 500 again. Happy to be me. All right. Number 2 is a Minecraft movie with 40 million this week. That's at 343 million total domestic. That will probably just keep making money. Number 3, The King of Kings, celebrated Easter weekend with $17 million. That's 45 total domestic. Number 4, The Amateur, with $7 million this week. That's at 27. And number 5, Warfare, with $4.8 million. That's at 17 million this week. And way down at number 12, The Wedding Banquet, which barely made a mark with only $1 million at number 12. Upcoming this week, few releases. We have Until Dawn. Yes, Until Dawn, based on the PlayStation franchise of the same name, but with a different story, from what I understand. That's released in theaters this week. Neighborhood Watch, and the sequel to The Accountant 2. This is a tough one. I don't think that they are marketing Until Dawn, or else that might be the choice here. I think The Accountant 2 might have a good week, or we'll just see a Minecraft movie return. But since Mike is gone, we will not make an official bet. I will not make a prediction, and we'll just see what happens next week. Let's move into movie news, and this week we have a little update from our friends at the Oscars. Oscar voters will no longer be able to cast final ballots in categories in which they haven't seen all of the nominees. This is according to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in an announcement that they made Monday. In the past, Best Foreign Language Film, or now Best International Feature Film, and the Best Documentary Feature categories were the only categories where members could cast votes if they had seen all 5 films in a theater. The new rule applies on a category-by-category basis, so voters can vote in the categories where they have seen in all the nominees and abstain in categories they have not. It does not apply in the shortlist and the nomination rounds of voting, though some categories do have restrictions in those rounds. With all the nominees available on the members-only Academy Screening Room website and streaming, it will be both easier for members to see everything and easier for the Academy to verify that they've done so. So they can basically check in their system like, oh yeah, this person watched the entirety of this runtime. I mean, they could have been in the other room or in the bathroom while it was running. I'm not going to tattle on them. But the Academy would never know. Or maybe on their toilet. Like, they could be on their toilet watching it on their phone. Who knows? I would love to vote for an Oscar movie on the toilet. That'd be wonderful. Dream scenario. The Academy also announced a new Oscar, the Achievement in Casting Oscar, which will be introduced this year. The cinematography category will also institute a new shortlist of between 10 and 20 films before the final nomination voting. I guess that's up from before. It doesn't say what the old number used to be. Casting. That's a really cool award, and I'm glad that they're finally being recognized in the ceremony. That's awesome. I think some movies have spectacular casting, and this is a good way to reward movies that have, like, you know, like the next big star in them, like really early, like catching a rising star as they're getting big. And yeah, recognizing an art, because it is an art, trying to figure out like who fits your storytelling the best. All right, that's it for movie news. And folks, that's it for the Media Vote podcast this week. We will be back next week with Mike in tow for a proper show with a proper length, I would imagine, with thoughts and all sorts of stuff. So look forward to that. But in the meantime, thank you for being here with us, being here with me, I guess, on the Media Boat podcast. And we'll be back next week for more. See ya. Bye-bye.